Welcome to the I-95 Sports Podcast. I'm Tim Hofmeister alongside Lewis Schaefer, as always. Lewis, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Tim. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I got the number one team in the NFC East. Well, not even the NFC East, the NFC as a whole, the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a win Thursday night. We're doing this podcast before your Giants play, which is probably a good thing. We don't want a sad, depressed Lewis.
No, that's never a good thing.
You've had just about a week to let it sink in that you are probably going for the number one pick at this point. So we figured we'd get it in before you got depressed. So we're gonna I'm feeling a good podcast because I'm high spirited, and as of right now, you're high spirited too.
Yes, high spirits all around.
Yeah, but so what do you make of the Giants? Like seriously, like I don't want to ruin your mood right away. I'm sure the game tonight will make your mood way worse. But the fact that you got Ben McAdoo, slicked back hair, talking about how you got a good team. You got no receivers. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Are we just saying, let's just get the number one pick? What's going to happen to Eli? Are you just ready to move on from him? Because you get the number one pick, there's going to be top quarterbacks out there.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, like the 0-5, 0-6 start has pointed out to me what was kind of covered up last year with the success the team had. I had significant concerns that although they fired Coughlin, or parted ways with Coughlin, that McAdoo was brought in, and then they just kind of promoted everybody along the line and didn't make any changes other than Coughlin not being there. And that had been a concern for me 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever. And they played well last year and it covered it up. But it's clear that the team still has issues and things that need to be tweaked and changed. And, at this point, the only good pick that we've had in the last 5 years, 6 years.
Eric Flowers, right? I mean, he's good for every other team.
He's great for every other team, except the Eagles. When we snap the ball, get rid of it within 3 seconds, and then there's no time for them to get to Eli. But I mean, again, last year kind of righted everything and kept everybody's job safe, which I didn't like. I felt there were still problems. Now, Jerry Reese is going to go. McAdoo's going to go. And like I said, the only good pick that the team's made in the since what? Eli, maybe? Is Odell. So, at least in the first round.
You calling your boy Eli Apple a bust? I know you're an Ohio State guy too.
Well, I mean, it's too early to tell, but I mean, he can't. Again, had a good year last year. Sophomore slump maybe a little bit this year, but we'll see down the line. Too early to tell on him, but you look down the line, Flowers, then there was Odell, then David Wilson. Hakeem Nicks, you kept him for all of 4 years. Kenny Phillips, they just haven't. You look at the teams that are successful, they continue to bring in rookies that are good and either excel in a role or excel overall. And aside from Odell, the Giants have not had that. So, go ahead. Go take the easy way out. Go get yourself Saquon Barkley, and then hope that he can run behind no offensive line, and then we'll all be shocked in a year when Saquon Barkley's struggling, but Eric Flowers is still playing left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, since technically you drafted Rivers and traded for Manning, you didn't have a pick in 05, and then you went Kiwanuka 06, Aaron Ross 07, Kenny Phillips 08, Nicks, Pierre Paul, Prince
that was an okay one.
Yeah, Prince Amukamara, David Wilson, Justin Pugh, who's been okay.
He's been okay.
He hates Philadelphia, so screw him. Odell Beckham Jr., Eric Flowers, Eli Apple, and Evan Ingram. So, I mean, that's not the success you want to have. Let's see if I can find them.
And it's been covered up by getting some steals. Like you look like Devin Kennard, fifth round, sixth round out of USC a couple of years back. Obviously, Victor Cruz picking him up undrafted. They've had their finds here and there, but again, a good team can filter it down to a couple guys in the first round and take the guy that's best for their situation. And like I said, they either excel in a role, kind of like Vic Beasley did last year, kind of finding his role with Atlanta and excelling in it, or excelling overall. And again, aside from Odell and Pugh, what has the Giants front office done in the first round where the talent should be?
Exactly. I mean, you look at some teams, and you obviously want at least half to be successful, to be what they should be. And other than Eli, Pierre-Paul, and Beckham, you don't really have first-round talent. Like Justin Pugh, I mean, he's a good player, but he's not first-round talent.
Yeah.
You wouldn't look at him and go, oh, he was probably a first-round pick. You're expecting a guy like Mike Iapati in his prime.
Yeah.
He's fallen off since his 49er days, but he was at the top of the food chain at one time, like a Jahari Evans. That's what you're looking for in the first round, not a guy like Justin Pugh. Just to put it in perspective, I looked up the Eagles, and in 2004, you have a guy, Sean Andrews, then you go Mike Patterson, Broderick Bunkley, 2007, 2008, no picks, but then you go Macklin, Graham, Danny Watkins, there's a miss right there, Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson, Marcus Smith, another miss, Aguilar, may not be a miss anymore, Wentz and Barnett. So, I mean, you see, like, half those guys were hits.
Yeah.
So that's where you get the difference, and I see what you're saying. But you really think all of a sudden McAdoo's out, or do you think McAdoo's out because of Reese probably being out?
Reese is definitely out.
So do you think in turn that's McAdoo's job as well, or do you think, because the way I look at it is, if Reese is out, then I think you see a tank on the horizon for the Giants. I mean, I think you got a great receiver, but I think you need O-line play. You need a running back. You need pieces on defense like a linebacker. And it might not be a full rebuild, but I think if they might bring in a guy that's saying, all right, I'm getting rid of Eli. I'm getting rid of Janoris Jenkins. I'm getting rid of, what's his face, Aquaro?
Yeah.
And then you got to look at it and be like, okay, like, not Aquaro. It's not Aquaro, is it? No, that's the Notre Dame guy that plays for you. That's Romeo Aquaro. Who's that? Who's the end you got? Vernon. Just totally blank. That's how bad the Giants have been. I don't have to worry about who plays for them anymore. But I think you see guys like that going, and you see the defense being built around Landon Collins and Snacks, and then you see the offense being built around a guy like Beckham.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going full Browns. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you may end up going somewhere around the Jets route.
I think you got to do at this point. I think it's just a one-year situation. Everything went wrong this year, and there's not too much you could do to fix it at this point. You're owing everything. You got Denver, you got Seattle next week, then you got LA and San Francisco, who hung with Washington. So who the hell knows at this point? I think as far as long term, I think this may be a one-year situation. Again, everything took a bad turn at the same time. You go into next year, you still have Odell. You still have, when he gets back, you still have Shepard. If he heals up properly, you still have Marshall, unless they cut him.
But you still don't have an O-line.
Still don't have an O-line.
You still don't have linebackers.
I mean, yeah. But,
and you still got to find Eli's replacement.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. I think you can, in a draft like this, you look at it and there's Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. But then you look and there could be a Lamar Jackson. There could be a Mayfield. That's why I'm saying I think it's a one-year tank situation because, it's not going our way. Just bottom out this year. And, I genuinely think you can get your Barkley, get your playmaker in the first round, and then there will be quarterbacks available top of the second round, and then start addressing the other needs, and that's obviously, this year has proven it, the offensive line.
Yeah, I think the tough thing is, it's what are you going with? You going running back? You going quarterback to eventually place Manning? Or you going linebacker, what you need? Or you going line? And that's the thing. I think there's too many choices. I think maybe if you move Eli for maybe a late round pick, I think you move him for a late round first pick. I think there's some teams out there that would give up a first round pick for Eli. I really do.
First rounder for Eli?
Yeah, especially if you see a team like the Steelers, if Big Ben decides to retire.
I was gonna say if Ben decides to hang it up, but then again,
they're still ready to win. So
they're still ready to win, but there's other options. You got to take into account, LA could decide they want to move on from Rivers. And obviously the opportunity presents itself for, obviously there's some teams with bad quarterbacks. And a team like Jacksonville could be in play for Manning because of Coughlin. Who knows? But, there are other options out there, and Eli has been so ineffective for his whole career in the regular season. You get him to the playoffs.
But if you put him behind an offensive line and you give him receivers like Jacksonville, like Pittsburgh, if it's an opening, is a first-round pick really going to put you over the top to the Super Bowl? Or is a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl going to put you in that mix?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But, at the same time, it's you know what you're getting in Eli. It's one of those things. And this is such a deep quarterback class, unless, a bunch of them decide to go back to school, that, a team like Pittsburgh sitting, in the 30s, late 20s of the first round, you can get Josh Rosen there. And granted, is he going to be what Ben gives you every year right away? No. But at least you're not digging yourself a hole where, okay, we didn't take a first-round pick this year, and, now we don't have a quarterback because there's no one in this class. We were a playoff team, in 2019, 2020, wherever. And it begins to dig your hole, and now you've got Le'Veon Bell, and you've got Brown, and then your quarterback is Josh Dobbs. So
it's just the thing that I look at now, looking at the quarterbacks that come out of school now, in college offense, these pro-style offenses, they don't seem ready for the NFL. Look at Jared Goff last year compared to this year.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's not a first-round pick. Maybe it's a third and a fourth or something like that, and then you take a quarterback that can sit behind them and then learn the system. But I just haven't seen quarterbacks come out, unless you change your offense like the Texans have.
Yeah.
There's not rookie quarterbacks coming in and playing lights out.
They do that in their second year.
Yeah, very few quarterbacks. I'm trying to think recently. You have Watson now, but Watson has everything that you want. He has a run game, an offensive line, and good receivers, and they're using exactly his offense at Clemson.
Yeah.
You have guys. Wentz wasn't effective his first year. You have Dak Prescott.
You have Dak. Yeah.
But look at what he's been ever since he lost some of his offensive line play in his running game.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is it worth it to bring in a replacement that's older and then draft a guy you can see potential in later? I don't know. It's iffy because a team like Jacksonville, I'm watching that game today, and you're thinking, literally, if they had a quarterback, they would be one of the best teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette literally is I don't know what he did to his foot. Apparently he's okay, returned to the game, but he carried the ball like 30-something times, touched the ball 40-something times. if you keep that up, you're not going to have a running back any longer. And I know they have Ivory too. They have Yeldon. But, I mean, I think you got to take some pressure off him because the play-action pass, it's almost like it's not even effective even when they run the ball 40 times because, okay, I'm still going to play man-to-man, and even though you have good receivers, Bortles isn't going to hit him.
Yeah.
I saw one pass, Bortles had a wide-open guy, he stepped up in the pocket, and the ball when he was actually going to step up, the ball got stripped from his hand. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I look at, maybe a team like Jacksonville, maybe a team like Pittsburgh, because those teams just need a quarterback to be competitive and be contenders. I mean, you saw what Pittsburgh just did to Kansas City. So
yeah.
I think because the Chargers are weird, they want to keep a quarterback there that keeps fans kind of in the seats. I don't know if they want to go with a rebuild right after the move that's not going that successfully. And then you have a guy like Alex Smith. Are they getting rid of him? Are they not getting rid of him? They might only get rid of him if they get what they want for him, which I think would be almost recouping what they gave up to get Mahomes.
Yeah.
So I think your best option, cheapest option, might be Eli Manning. So that's the way I feel on it. And if the Giants get an offer, I'd say go. Because you know what? The guys you're building around are still young enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the one thing that has been kind of obvious to me over the last couple of years. That, like Eli was, 32, 31, 32, 33 when they drafted Beckham. And it was clear, like, okay, he's going to have Manning for half of his career and then someone else for the other half. I mean, Webb showed me something in the preseason, but I think if you can go, like I said, if you can go I don't want one, unless Barkley goes 1, goes 2, and the Giants just miss out on him. If he's there, I take Saquon Barkley because I think if you can get him and kind of do what the Rams did with we're going to see what he has, and then go out and use some free cap space to go get, whatever our equivalent of signing an Andrew Whitworth would be. Go out and do it to bolster the offensive line, even if it's a year down the road. You get Barkley, he's the premier talent, do it. And then, like I said, this class is deep enough where they may be tanking at the right time to go get, like I said, a Rosen, a Mayfield, as much as I would love to see that.
As your boy, Baker Mayfield.
But putting themselves in a position to be able to do that with how deep this quarterback class could potentially be. And even if it's not as deep as it could be, then you rock with Manning for another year. And then go from there and take a quarterback next year. But I think if you can get the quarterback this year in the second round, do it. Because I think, like I said, I think Barkley is as much as I hate Penn State, such a can't-miss talent that they need to do it. And especially with a team that, you have no running game because of the offensive line, but the fact that your backs are Wayne Gallman, Paul Perkins, and Orleans Darkwa doesn't help it either.
So, what's your thoughts on if you end up with let's say you end up with the 3rd overall pick? Mm-hmm. Are you going Barkley or are you trading down?
If he's there, I take him.
Okay, I just wasn't sure because the way I look at it is, if you could trade down and just keep getting more and more picks to fill more and more holes. I know it's a tough one because Barkley's going to be out there, and you've needed a running game. But for me personally, I think drafting running backs high, it's not the best scenario. But that's just my opinion. You look at that, trying to get more picks, and you can keep adding. So say.
Yeah, I see your logic, but if it were a situation where it was 1, let's say, and the Jets, because they shockingly went 3-13, still want Darnold. You
have them losing out the rest of the year?
It's possible. But if somehow they miss out on the first overall pick, and Darnold declares, but they won. Then I would do it. If the right situation presented itself to go get a future first from team for a top three, a 1 or a 2 or 3, then I do it. But I wouldn't want the Giants to put themselves in a situation. I mean, Cleveland's bad, and Cleveland was able to do it because they're bad. But imagine had Cleveland gone and pulled that Deshaun Watson trade with Jacksonville, because Jacksonville just admitted that Bortles sucked. Then they really hit on something, because they're going to have their pick, which would be top 2, top 3, and then Jacksonville's, which is almost guaranteed to be top 10. And then you look at what they actually did. The Texans, I mean, they've won the division for 3 years in a row without having a quarterback, and now it looks like they have one. So, granted, first-round picks are always nice to have if you could have multiple of them, but like I said, Barkley is such a can't-miss talent for me that unless I can get a team that is nearly guaranteed to be in the top 10 the next year to give up their first, then I don't do it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. But let's stop talking about what could be what ifs for a very sad winless team. Let's talk about the best team in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm on board. I love it. I know I've been Doug Peterson's biggest critic for the longest time, and I still am cautious about him. I still try and find things, but I mean he's just really impressing me. Him and Wentz, just the third down play calling, the third down execution, the running game, the offensive line. I mean, Pro Football Focus. Everyone cannot stand Pro Football Focus, and they come out and say the Eagles are the best offensive line. All of a sudden, you're thinking, all right, Dallas is better, Oakland's better, and then they come out and they have a pretty good game against Washington. You're thinking, all right, well, it's only Washington. And then Washington goes and just wrecks Oakland's offensive line. And all of a sudden, the 2 best tackles in the entire league are Lane Johnson and Jason Peters. And we're winning games against a really good Panthers team with Halapoli Vaitai.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it seems like everything's going right. Injuries haven't been too serious. I mean, you lost Darren Sproles, which it sucks because Darren Sproles is a great guy, great person. You hate to see him go down, but we're able to fill that spot. So as of right now, I'm sitting pretty, and I really like where the Eagles are at. I mean, you have to say they're the best team in the NFC, because looking at what happened to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay now, and then the fact that the Falcons have not been impressive at all this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you're probably not happy about that, but you know what? Eagles are back, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it pains me to say this, but you guys look good. You guys look good. And it's almost like, Jeffrey's finally kicking in, finally not going against the premier corner. It's going to be interesting because, 5-1, granted, you played Washington and the Giants, but you did knock off Carolina. You hung around with KC. I do. I think it's going to be interesting. And the NFC's been in a spot where kind of the last couple of years, Carolina came out of nowhere, then Atlanta came out of nowhere. I'm vomiting in my mouth saying this, but maybe this is the year that Philly comes out of nowhere and makes a run.
I would love it. Obviously we have some question marks. Alshon and Carson still aren't on the same page. But Ertz, the connection with Ertz looks great. Our secondary is only going to get healthier. Pass rush looks good. We hope Hicks, with his ankle injury, I hope he can get back, not miss any games. I would love to get more depth. I think that's our overall issue, is just depth as a whole. I think Mac Hollins has looked good, though. It's really depth overall. I think D-line has great depth. I think our running backs are pretty good. I think Clement working him in's good. I think you'll eventually see probably Barner will stick around, and he's been getting more carries, and he's looked pretty decent. So I don't mind it there. It's just defense, because you saw when we had to play Maragos, and that wasn't the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think our corners will get back, and I think it'll help overall. But I really like it. Just depth scares me. But other than that, I think they're poised to make a run. I mean, you see some teams that will give us problems. I still think, even though Detroit got blown out by New Orleans, they do have some defensive injuries. I do think they can be a good team. To see what New Orleans can be, because that division's up for grabs. Just because Panthers lost, and I still think they're the favorite in there. But I mean, the Buccaneers don't look good. I'm trying to think. You got in the North, they'll probably have the Vikings or the Lions. Vikings don't seem like they have a great defense, but they don't seem like they have a quarterback now. It seems like the knee injury for Sam Bradford could be career-ending injury, which I saw today. So I mean, yeah, I saw an article about that. That's what it seemed. It's early indications say it may be career-ending, so they might be sticking with Case Keenum the rest of the year. So I mean, a lot of these teams, it's iffy because Washington, they've kind of it seems like they've played down to opponents, lost Norman and Rashad Breeland. Are they even going to make the playoffs? Dallas, are they going to make the playoffs? So there's a lot of question marks. Because you see a team like Arizona get crushed by the Eagles, and then, I mean, they ended up winning that game. It ended up being a close game against the Buccaneers, but they were blowing them out 31-0 for a certain amount of time. So,
yeah, I was just about to say they look good this week with AP coming in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks in a lot of divisions, and the only thing that seems to be consistent week to week is the Eagles playing well, and they've been lucky enough to win 5 of 6.
Yeah, definitely. And what's the thing? You guys have the receiving core now. You have the run game. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm trying to be cautious about it because I don't want to get too hyped because...
You don't want to end up like Birch?
No, I mean, I saw that Facebook... Did you see that Facebook status where he mentioned both of us waiting for us to...
No, I didn't see it.
He put out the Eagles are, like, they have to be this favorite to go to the Super Bowl, and he was like, I'm waiting for Lewis Schaefer and Tim Hofmeister to tell me that I'm wrong, and that's what I don't want to... I'm enjoying the success currently, but I don't want to get to that point right away because there's still a lot of the season to go.
Just trying to trust the process.
Yeah, and the cream will rise to the top in the NFC. So I believe if we're meant to be there, we'll stay there, and I think we are meant to be there. I think we're a very good team, but you see teams that really turn it on towards the end. I mean, Seattle, it seems like every season they struggle in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers' injury, they probably won't bounce back, but you see a team like maybe the Lions catch fire or something. Like, there's still a lot to play, so I want to not jump out and be like, we're the team to beat, because we haven't been that team yet. There's still a lot of teams that you have to prove that you're better than. You have to prove that you can knock them off, because Seattle's a proven winner, and it's just I'm hesitant, but I like what's happening right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm pulling up your guys' schedule now. I think it's that Denver game in the beginning of November, and then in Seattle at the beginning of December. You guys, you have Washington in 2 weeks. You have the Pilots week. Wait, no. Is it a bye this week?
Yeah, it'll be a bye next Sunday.
Bye, and then the Redskins. So it's the Redskins, no Josh Norman, fine. San Francisco, that's a win. Like I said, Denver will be a tough one. That's in the link. If you guys keep this up, I'd give that game to you. Dallas, Zeke is out. Trubisky the next week. And then going into Seattle. I mean, and like you said, that's when they really start to turn it on, is that like late November, December, they turn it on and get hot for the playoffs. So that's one that's going to be interesting for me. I mean, that might be the game where it stands out. And if the Eagles can go up there and knock them off, then we're on to something serious. Then I might get on board with Birch.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, I think the Washington game is going to be a tough game because it's a division game. when you play Dallas, it'll be a tough game. I'm not sure what's going on with the Elliott suspension. I'm not sure if he's still eligible or not. I keep seeing conflicting reports. All this law stuff is confusing.
Yeah, all confusing.
Yeah, I got like a B- in sport law. Maybe I forget. Maybe it might have been like a C+ or something.
Maybe we should tweet Brown and ask her what Zeke's.
I think we should just have her on the podcast one week and she can explain it to us all.
She can explain Zeke's suspension.
Yeah, and then we'll be like, all right, thanks. Like that'll take up a little just so we can understand it. But I mean, the fact of just looking at these teams, I think Denver's going to be a close game because they don't have an offense, but they have a great defense, and I think we're above average on both sides of the ball. So I think that it'll even out. It's just, it'll definitely be interesting the rest of the season, and I think as long as we can, I'm not looking to be like, go like 5-1 the next half of the year or whatever, like have one loss the rest of the year or whatever. I just hope we can make the playoffs if we get, I think we have a possibility of being a 1 seed, but I just hope we get out healthy. Because the Lane Johnson injury, you saw what that can do. That scares me. If Peters goes down, that scares me. Even on the inside guards and centers, because you saw what Warmack and Salomalu have done. And then you see like a guy like Hicks, if he goes down, I think Najat Good is a decent player. I think he can fill that role relatively good. I think they'll play a lot more nickel and dime if Hicks does actually go down or a linebacker goes down. I'm going to see a lot more Corey Graham or Jenkins in the box. But I think just injuries as a whole, if you can end the season, even if you end the season like 11-5 or 10-6, but you get out injury free or you're healthy in the postseason, I still think you can make a run. So I'm not worried about going like everyone. I'm sure everyone's 14-2, 13-3, we can do it. I mean, I'm not worried about that as much as I would. I just hope you play well, you stay healthy. That's all that matters, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, definitely. Play well, stay healthy. And I mean, I'd say if you guys can get a first round bye, it's nothing but help.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, I mean, I'm on board with you, even when, the Giants last year were good. Obviously we had Dallas in front of us, beating everybody but us. But, it was always, okay, if we could just get there and be healthy, it's fine. I don't need to be 14-2, 13-3. Just get there, and we'll see. And especially, it's a younger team. Wentz's first experience in the playoffs. You get him as much exposure to it as possible. Just like you said, just get there and be healthy.
Yeah, and obviously, like first round bye, home field advantage would be amazing, and I would love to get it. But my main 2 goals are just get there and stay healthy.
I would love to see a Super Bowl of Doug Peterson and Andy Reid just for whole clock management.
Yeah. I mean, actually both clock managements have been pretty well this year, which is kind of sad. One of the things that I saw today that I couldn't believe, the Jacksonville Jaguars down 10 with 1:30 to go, kicked a field goal on second down, a 53-yard field goal on second down, and missed it. I mean, that blows my mind. You can't. I mean, I don't even know. Don't understand it. But anyway, it is what it is, I guess. But a couple other teams that we are fans of. I mean, obviously said young team. That applies to the Flyers. So let's talk about hockey. It just started. Philadelphia Flyers, they have looked good. They've looked quick. They're a very young team on defense and on offense. They've scored a ton of goals. They just beat the Capitals last night 8-2. Defense is going to be our biggest issue. I think they can make the playoffs. I think it'll be close. A lot of good teams in the East. But I mean, I think mostly it's just saying, hey, let's get these young kids playing. I think you'll see a big youth movement throughout the year, but playoffs is just a bonus. I don't think it's expected. That's really all I have to say about the Flyers because it's still early. But I mean, you have a youth movement of just young kids. It's fun to watch, and the defense is bad as of right now. So especially with Andrew McDonald back there. How do your Rangers look?
Not good. Not good.
It's perfect. I haven't kept up with anyone but the Flyers this year because it's in that weird part where we're postseason baseball, NFL, NBA is about to start, and you're just like, I can't keep up with everything, so I haven't even checked with the Rangers. But that's great news for me.
Yeah, no, see, this is like I'm like the inverse. Like, I'll pay attention to hockey a little bit now because my team isn't in the playoffs. I basically, last 2 years, didn't really pay attention to the Rangers because I was depressed. But yeah, this year I've kind of been watching a little just to see here and there. Because you're right, when basketball season starts, I'm locked into basketball.
I mean, you may not want to be this year, to be honest.
I already got my Thunder jersey. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
But I mean, they're 2-6 right now. Pittsburgh on Tuesday. You know, and they lost bad games. I mean, they lost 8-5 to Toronto. I mean, Austin Matthews is dirty, but you lose last night to Jersey 3-2. Like, Jersey's awful. Come on, we can't be doing that. You know, but again, for me, like, this just makes it easier because I know they're not doing well, so I don't have to pay attention to what they're doing. So.
All right, that's the best hockey take we could come up with.
Hot takes on us.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us into like our wheelhouse, the NBA. As we talked last week, we gave a season preview. There's not really much more to say other than the Embiid extension. It's super exciting. He's not actually hurt. He's playing basketball again. He looks amazing. He's just the best on Instagram. He actually posted.
He used that extension by himself a headband.
Yeah, that headband was fire. But the fact that he goes in 15 minutes, scores 22 points, looks amazing, and then the next game he plays the Heat, and then he beats up on Hassan Whiteside. Hassan Whiteside's fouling him because he can't cover him, and then Embiid posts on Instagram a picture of him and says, "Great to be back out there. Can't wait for the regular season." And says, "By the way, my location is extremely ass," and his location was Hassan Whiteside. I mean, he has everything you want in a star and the face of your franchise. He is great at basketball. He's hilarious. I mean, like, he never has a dull moment. Even when he's on the bench, even when he's on Instagram or Twitter. I mean, this guy is great. He's at Eagles games. He's at Flyers games. I mean, he is everything you want for a star.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's hysterical. It's great.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at least like the fact that he actually has a personality, unlike your boy Kristaps. I mean, seriously, you look at it, and Philadelphia has the better basketball star. Easily. I mean, who's the face of your franchise? Who's going to speak for your franchise? Is it going to be Kristaps, or is it going to be whoever you drafted first round? What's the point guard's name? Ntilikina?
Ntilikina?
Yeah, I mean, they could have a podcast where one speaking French, one speaking Latvian. I mean, who's the face of your franchise? Who's the face of your, like, rebuild? I mean, hell, we had Tony Wotan.
I don't know. Tim Hardaway Jr.? I don't know.
Oh, man. The Knicks just aren't tanking right.
No, not at all.
You gotta get names in there that, I mean, at least bring back like Jeremy Lin or something.
He's balling out in Brooklyn, man.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hope there's a guy that rises to the top for you. I mean, when we started our rebuild, we didn't expect Tony Wotan to be what Tony Wotan was, but he was the savior. He was the start of the process.
See, that's the thing. I have my pick for the Knicks, TJ.
Or the next TJ. There ain't gonna be no next TJ because TJ's a bona fide.
The Knicks TJ.
Oh, the Knicks. I was gonna say the next TJ. I was like, TJ's a bona fide Hall of Famer and one of a kind. I was like, you can't carbon copy him.
Yeah, I got Ron Baker. Ron Baker will be the new TJ.
Ron Baker. First off, TJ was undrafted. Ron Baker wasn't, so he can't already be the Knicks TJ. Ron Baker's a scrub.
Listen, man, I trust the process. Okay, you get on me like I'm still a diehard Knicks fan. Fuck the Knicks. I'm over it.
Listen, man, I'm just saying, where's the loyalty? That's all.
It's with Melo. That's why I bought the Oklahoma City jersey.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks are just gonna be bad. I don't expect a rebuild to even help them. I think because you have a guy like James Dolan at the helm.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Sixers ownership wasn't that great.
Trade the owner, second round pick.
What happened?
We trade the owner for a second round pick.
Yeah, really. I would trade him for a bag of flat basketballs. But I mean, if you got an owner like James Dolan, and then you have even that owners that aren't even that great, like the Sixers owners, Scott O'Neil. I mean, they were able to even get a guy in that was able to fix the franchise. But a guy like James Dolan, man, I don't know what he's ever thinking. I think maybe a little bipolar. I think he's basically an alcoholic. Not too sure about that. I'm not gonna say he is, but I mean, it seems like every time he's getting into trouble, he always has some alcohol in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, and some of the decisions he makes too. I mean, that's a great excuse if they are induced by alcohol, because some of them are just.
Good out.
Yeah, it is definitely a good out.
Like a cup of water. Like, yeah, I was drinking vodka.
But I mean, man, like, it's just, I think until he sells a team, I think you guys are the equivalent of the Marlins, the basketball equivalent of the Marlins.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'd agree.
He's your Jeffrey Loria. And until you get rid of him, I mean, yeah, you may get a stinker of an owner that drafts him or comes in after him like Derek Jeter, because he's not a fan favorite yet so far in Miami. And he's been there for, what, 10 days?
Yeah.
But, I mean, even if you get a guy that at least will try, but Dolan just doesn't seem to even know what he wants to do. It's just a weird scenario, but, I mean, that
Dolan
makes...
just enjoys collecting checks off the brand.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't matter if the team does well. People watch the Knicks because they're the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point. I mean, you still got Spike Lee coming to your games or no?
Yep.
Oh, well, that's good. I think he should just buy the team at this point.
I think Knicks fans would rather him.
I think
I think Knicks fans would rather Amari Stoudemire instead buy the team.
I think Spike Lee buying the team is your best bet. I think he actually knows what he's doing. And I think it'd be such a change for an owner to care too much for the Knicks. I mean, that would go hot to cold, or cold to hot real quick. Total change of scenery if the owner comes in and cares way too much instead of not caring at all.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Spike Lee's not going to get into a fight with Charles Oakley. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
No, but I think Spike Lee would bring kind of like that Mark Cuban kind of look to the Knicks.
Oh,
I
I mean,
enjoy that.
That's great for the NBA. Another Mark Cuban as an owner, or Mark Cuban type. I think Mark Cuban's probably the best owner in the NBA.
Oh yeah.
So, but let's see. We'll get off some basketball. We'll talk more as we get into the season. Embiid's still the second coming of Jesus Christ, according to T.J. McConnell, and I back him up on that.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers news recently. Fultz coming off the bench. He really didn't play in the preseason. He's kind of coming back from a little bit of an injury, so I just don't think Brett Brown feels that you have to rush him right away. And I think I'm not looking too much into the move, so I don't really have much.
You have a god as the backup point guard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about that, because so what if the rookie comes off the bench? I mean, it is what it is. I think he'll be fine in the long haul, but it's just part of it's him coexisting with Simmons, which is going to be tough because he doesn't really play off the ball as much as he will be. So I think he'll be fine, though.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, no doubt. So obviously, Phillies and Mets, we're diehard fans, which is why we do this podcast, I-95 Sports Podcast. But they're not good, so they're not in the playoffs.
Nope. No, not at all.
So what do diehard fans do other than latch on to just memories, fond or not, but players and coaches that we've known that are in the playoffs currently? So, of course, Chase Utley, the Silver Fox himself, playing for the Dodgers. He's on the NLCS roster, and he eliminated my pick, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I thought were the bona fide favorites to win the World Series, and I lost my pretty penny because they got swept. But I'm so on board with the Los Angeles Dodgers right now because I got the Silver Fox playing right there. Hell, let them win. I'm all for it.
I'm on board with the Dodgers too. You look at it. Justin Turner, former Met, former really bad Met, like 2010, 2011 Met. So I enjoy watching the Dodgers. I hope they make a run because, quite frankly, I still can't stand the Cubs. I'm trying to think of who else is out there.
I mean, you got your boy Carlos Beltran with the Houston Astros,
Carlos Beltran.
we got 100 Miles Giles with the Astros. So I'd be all for an Astros. Yeah, I'd be all for an Astros not Phillies, Astros Dodgers World Series. Get 100 Miles Giles, Chase Utley. I mean, of course I'd want to see Utley get another ring more so than Giles, because Giles, we traded him when he was young. Utley he was just hitting the end of his career, and we knew we could still get something for him. So, but
yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think we have anybody on the Yankees. Well, we have at points. Luis Sessa was. I'm trying to think. No one on the Cubs because we don't negotiate with them. But yeah, I mean, I also wouldn't mind a Dodgers Astros World Series because they're both so fun to watch. Like, I've been paying attention to the playoffs, obviously, and they look so much better. Like, they looked so, Houston looked so much better than Boston. LA, obviously, as much as we were behind them, looked so much better than Arizona. And, they're doing it again. Houston looks significantly better than the Yankees. And, obviously it's one game. But I think they're playing right now. It might have just started. But LA, they finally have that resilience that good playoff teams have. Obviously, like when we faced the Royals 2 years ago, like no lead was ever safe, and Alex Gordon proved that to Familia.
Still one of the best postseason home runs I've ever seen. That and the Matt Stairs one off of Jonathan Broxton. Two of the best ones I've ever seen.
I'll pick the Matt Stairs one. But, the Dodgers have that resilience now. They were down 2-0 in Chicago. They come back, score 5 runs late in the game. They have that resilience that good playoff teams have now, and they're fun to watch because, normally the Dodgers, they did that. They're down by 2 runs early. Like, okay, they're dead. They blew a Kershaw start, and they came back and won the game. So
I love the resurgence of Yasiel Puig. I think it's great.
I love that.
I mean, Yasiel Puig is bat flipping on singles, doubles. I hope he bat flips on strikeouts from now on and walks. I love it. I think he's making the game so much more fun. I think that's what needs to happen. You know what the problem with baseball is? It's not too many strikeouts. It's not pace of game. It's not the length of games. It's just it's just become, the integrity of the game. If you bat flip, we hit you. You know what? No. You know what? Have some fun. When a pitcher comes off and he strikes out the side, or he comes in for one batter where the base is loaded, strikes him out, you know what? I hope you yell. Get excited. I mean, this is what baseball is. It's supposed to be fun. And I think it's become almost it's become boring. But I think if you get more of this fun bat flipping, which is why I can't stand when people are talking about Odubel. Oh, he bat flips on flyouts. I mean, the dude's playing the game he loves. I mean, think about it. You play sports because you love them until if you're lucky enough to be professional. If you're skilled enough, I shouldn't say lucky enough because they worked hard. If you're skilled enough to be a professional athlete. So why do you have to stop and have fun? I mean, look at the NFL celebrations. Why do you have to stop having fun all of a sudden? And that's the thing I don't like with these professional sports is that it seems like the higher-ups, the owners, the commissioners, they thinking, okay, well, we don't want them to have fun. Or even in baseball with the unwritten rules. Like, let the boys play, Let the kids have fun. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And seeing, what is the best postseason memory of recent history was the Jose Bautista bat flip against the Rangers. That was electric. That was amazing. So much fun to watch. Why can't we just bring that in the regular season?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too.
Make baseball fun again.
Make baseball fun again. That could be a t-shirt.
I mean, hey, if you want to buy it, well, I-95 Sports Podcast will make it for you. So, but I mean, other than that, just cheering for former players that used to play for, obviously, for you the Mets, for us, for me the Phillies, us. I'm saying. I mean, I'm sure there's Phillies people that listen to the podcast. I'm sure like JP Crawford's listening to the podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
at least Dusty Watson.
Oh yeah, definitely Dusty Watson. I sent him the link. Don't worry. But I mean, you look at it. I mean, that's what we have to hold on to, especially when our teams are rebuilding. So, but other than that, you got anything else, Lois?
Yeah. I guess we'll mention the stuff we've going on right now. So we are on the website Patreon. Just looking to help out, get our podcast, going, quick, get it growing quicker than it is right now. If you want to donate, the link, well, you can go to patreon.com, and then it's I-95 Sports Podcast. You'll find us. It's the logo that's on everything. All about branding here. And then also we have t-shirts. If you go to shop.spreadshirt.com/I-95 Sports Podcast, if you pull it up, we got t-shirts, we got coffee mugs for hot coffee, not cold coffee.
No, we don't like cold coffee here at I-95 Sports Podcast. I mean, one of our hosts supports iced coffee, but we had a vote, and hot coffee did win.
Hot coffee did win, so we have coffee mugs. Phone cases. We're going to be coming out with more designs. I know I'm working on something now, since we're getting into, like Heisman consideration season. So we're going to have a bunch of new t-shirts, try to get that going as well. So definitely give us a look, help out the podcast.
Yeah, and of course, we'll tweet out that link and everything like that. And obviously, we're looking for sponsors as well. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, let us know. I've actually put out a couple emails to a couple people. We got a couple interested people back. But we're not going to mention anything until it's official or anything like that. But we're excited where this podcast is headed. I mean, seriously, we could only have gone up. So we're sitting there like the 10-72 76ers, like the almost 100-loss Philadelphia Phillies. It can only go up from here. And I think we're going pretty quickly.
And it's going up.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our subscribers from where we were to where we are now, both on YouTube, iTunes, and then our views on SoundCloud, we are growing very quickly, and we can only thank the listeners for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll tweet out all that stuff, and we would love your help. And I think if we are able to get a little help from you guys, and that you're already helping us enough, I think this podcast really knows no bounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, well, that'll wrap us up. That'll wrap us up for the I-95 Sports Podcast. The game just started. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be over. Let's just assume Giants loss.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, if the Giants do win, it probably ruins a lot of people in their suicide pool. So,
yes.
it's I'm sure some Giants fans even picked against the Giants. So, but thanks for listening. And that'll wrap us up. All right. Have a good one.